This is massive. NHL insider Darren Dreger has dropped a genuinely shocking Calgary Flames trade report revolving around Nazem Kadri. It seems like a no-brainer to trade away the veteran all-star for maximum value, but Flames ownership may have different plans up their sleeves. We're going to get into all that more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. Man, maybe I should have taken another breath in there, but let's start with this shocking update. And to some it'll be shocking because it's kind of like, yo, what the heck is going on in Calgary? And to others it'll be like, can anything really surprise you at all as a Flames fan? There's different reports every day, they're conflicting, and honestly with the ownership group we have, you can't really expect anything to be a huge surprise. But either way, as I said in the intro, Darren Dreger was recently talking about the Flames over on Insider Training on TSN, and he actually had quite a bit to say. And this is kind of going to be scattered between different articles and different sources of what was said, but overall, just know that it's about Nazem Kadri, of course. And we'll start with this. So from Twitter at NHL_Watcher, great name. So NHL Watcher here says, Dreger on Insider Trading asked, what are the chances Kadri is moved out of Calgary? He said, I think they are slim at this point, but you never say never. I think it is important to note that Nazem Kadri loves Calgary. He wants to win in Calgary. And that's kind of been the open sentiment of Nazem Kadri this whole time. I mean, we saw how special that 1,000th game was for him and his family, but to do it in front of, obviously, the Flames fans in this beautiful city was phenomenal to him. Now, you don't always know if someone is just giving, the media trained, the classic hockey guy answer in saying like, yeah, I love being here. But he's been a little more open than usual about wanting to stay in Calgary. And that's, totally fine. So this part, not a huge surprise at all. This isn't the shocking update, but still good to know that obviously, the Flames are being covered on TSN because usually it's just the bigger teams like the Habs, the Leafs, and the Oilers. So either way. Let's continue. Next one here, also from NHL Watcher. This is where it gets a little more interesting. So Dreger, also on Insider Training, said that Murray Edwards, the owner of the Calgary Flames, is telling people that he has no interest in trading Nazem Kadri. In fact, he doesn't want to trade Kadri. He loves the core of this team. There's a lot we could break down here. You could do a whole book report just on this one little, paragraph here. Is it one sentence? On this one sentence, pretty much. But it's interesting is what we can say. And it's kind of shocking to hear that Murray Edwards is, okay with the core of this team. I don't know if he knows, but the Flames are last in the league, and this core isn't going to take them to a cup anytime soon. I think that's been kind of evident ever since the Matthew Tkachuk trade. So in that way, it's kind of shocking to hear your owner say that kind of thing. I mean, it's totally fair him saying the Kadri part of it, but to add the core of this team part was kind of an eye-opener. It kind of blew up all over social media. Accounts that never cover the Flames quoted that, saying that Edwards is fine with the core of this team. Now, this doesn't come from Edwards specifically, but why would Dreger make that up? I don't know. Either way, it is quite almost startling, but again, is it surprising? No, I think a lot of Flames fans don't love Murray Edwards and, because he's just fine with being in the mushy middle, whatever makes him money. And if the Flames are losing too much, he doesn't make money. That's why prices are up this year at the Dome for everything and to pay for the new arena. Overall, this isn't a Murray Edwards hate channel or hate video or anything, but nothing can surprise you when he does say this. Now, to just discuss it a little further, I will take bits and pieces of different articles. So the first one is from Josh Wegman here from The Score. So he writes, Flames ownership not interested in trading Kadri. So center-needy teams hoping the Flames will make Kadri available may have to pivot. The team's ownership group, Calgary Sports and Entertainment, is not interested in trading Kadri at this time, reports TSN's Darren Dreger. The Flames are in last place in the NHL, leading many to speculate desirable veteran players like Kadri could wind up on the trade block. However, with 4 years left on his contract at $7 million average annual value, Calgary's hand isn't being forced. His contract also includes a 13-team no-trade list after that was released not long ago. Now, the 35-year-old leads the Flames with 11 points in 15 appearances this season. He paced the club with 67 points in 82 games last season while scoring a career-high 35 goals. So he's so valuable. If the Flames stay on their current trajectory and wind up as deadline sellers, Rasmus Andersson would be their most obvious trade chip since he's in the final year of his contract. The Flames and the Golden Knights reportedly held numerous trade talks about Andersson in the offseason. Now, that doesn't really have anything to do with Kadri, but we know the Flames obviously could become sellers. And I think this article is just trying to prove, but not necessarily arguing, that Kadri is still quite valuable. The Flames do not have to trade him, but maybe it's in their best interest to kind of go ahead and do that. Now, from another article, I honestly can't remember where this one comes from, but it just reiterates some of this stuff. So, according to TSN's Darren Dreger on a recent segment of Insider Trading, owner Murray Edwards is a fan of this. Pardon me, I had a little frog in my throat there. What's going on? Throat game, unbelievable. Goated, as always. Don't quote me on that, please. Anyway, owner Murray Edwards is a fan of this current core group, Kadri in particular. At this time, it appears as though there is no thought from the organization of dealing with a 35-year-old despite recent speculation. Again, is this a money move? There's a tiny part of me that hopes that this is, Murray Edwards kind of being a tactical genius here and being like, no, we don't want to trade him at all. You'll never get him, to maybe increase his value, or not even his value, but just the desirability, making him more rare in a sense. I don't know. I'm trying to make it make sense in my head, and the reality is probably not that little glimmer of hope I'm holding on to, but as Flames fans, we always have a slight glimmer of hope. That's how we continue to just survive. But either way, I don't know. I don't know if there's something bigger going on here. But either way, here's the quote. Murray Edwards, the owner of the Calgary Flames, is telling people that he has no interest in trading Kadri. He loves the core of this team. There's a lot of hockey left in this regular season for the Flames, but it doesn't sound like their ownership has any intention of trading away their veteran forward. So that just kind of adds yes, there's still the hope the Flames can turn it around this season. And sure, the Flames have been playing a little better lately, but this team is not going to win the Stanley Cup. Let's just be honest. It's not. So a little interesting there. Just to, I think, end off, a couple more quotes here. So despite the speculation, Dreger reported that Edwards is telling people he doesn't want to trade Kadri. I've said that a bunch of times. But he says, in fact, Edwards doesn't want to trade Kadri. He loves the core of this team. And then it goes on to say essentially what we saw in another article. But all these articles aren't explicitly saying, look, the Flames need to trade Kadri. But they're showing, maybe it's in the Flames' best interest to maybe trade Kadri. It would make sense. It would make a lot of the fan base happy too, obviously, since most people are on Team Tank right now. If this season ends up with another mushy middle, even if it's, just miss out on the playoffs, worst case scenario, or maybe worse because of draft position making the playoffs and then getting smoked. If that happens, oh my goodness, there better be pitchforks, a riot on the Red Mile. That's all I'm going to say. But either way, I guess that's kind of the shocking update with Kadri here. The Flames apparently not wanting to trade him at all. But let's get into tonight's game. Maybe get back on track here. I know that was a little crazy there for a bit. But the Flames have yet another game tonight after a big win against Columbus. They are still at the Dome, and they will be playing against the Chicago Blackhawks. Always fun to obviously host an Original Six team. The Blackhawks starting to become a little bit better, and since they've been just so terrible lately, still a young team. But this one goes at 7 p.m. And the lineups are quite interesting here. So Flames lines and pairings heading into tonight. So Zary with Kadri and Farabee, Huberdeau, Frost, Coronato, Hanzik, Backlund, Coleman, Lomberg, Sharangovich centering the fourth line with Klapka as well on the wing. Hanley and Weegar are the first pairing. At line rushes, it was Kuznetsov with Andersson. Kuznetsov obviously played well, but this was with Ball not skating due to maintenance. So most people are assuming Ball will be good to go, and it'll be Ball and Andersson, but just in case for whatever reason Ball isn't, it will be Kuznetsov, and then Pahal and Perek as the third line. Perek draws back in. Wolfie, your starter. Very interesting to have Sharangovich as the fourth line center there. And I know Flames Nation, the other YouTube channel that kind of steals all their stuff from us, not going to lie. They kind of posted a video, I believe it was yesterday, about Sharangovich and, saying what the heck is wrong with this guy. So interesting that he's the fourth line center for tonight. We'll see if that wakes him up at all. But either way, it should hopefully be a fun one for the fans tonight. Now let's get into the comment of the day to wrap up this video, as we love to do here on the channel. It comes from yesterday's video, of course, and it goes really well with what we were talking about with Kadri. It comes from D. Chappelle here. He says, Murray just hyping the Kadri stock for a better trade return. And that was that little glimmer of hope I was talking about earlier. You and me were kind of on the same wavelength and maybe having crazy theories, but maybe, just maybe, that's the case of what's going on here. Continues to say it's likely they don't move him and just let him ride out the contract, as they literally have no centers and don't seem to be able to get any younger/better centers. Ride and die with Bax and Kadri at sea, it seems. And is that what the fan base wants? Not necessarily. Is that what they're going with so far? Yes. I know a lot of people don't love what Conroy has done lately. I think his hand is very much being stopped by Murray Edwards and the ownership group. So not all the blame can always go to Craig, but either way, let's just try and stay positive. I promise I'll be better next video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to what you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.